So where do you see your future moving now? I know you don't have a plan, but...
Well, I'm future. I'm 75 years old, 76 soon, and you know, I was 40 when the first time someone said to me, "Do you still race a car?"
Mm.
And I thought, oh, it was the first time. I thought, oh, I'm starting to look old, and maybe I should stop. I'm 40. Anyway, I haven't. I carried on, and so, and I will carry on doing what I can, because I think that's part of longevity, and I'm frightened that if I stop, I'll just fade away and die. So I will just keep on. Last week I was on the roof of my house sorting out some slates and soffits, so up a ladder, which I shouldn't have gone up. I just keep doing things, and while I can, it keeps my mind and body. It's the whole thing, nutrition, everything.
And the other thing is, you were saying in your book, you know, you need a touch of the madness about you to be a racing.
Yeah, that's John Danby Racing, big race team, and he said to me, the drivers must have the madness. He said, meaning they've got to be. It was a way of saying they've got to have something extra, something exceptional to do this crazy stuff, and to be at the front as well, you know.
Because I suppose if you're working in an office, it's a fairly mundane task, and it's probably going to be quite safe. You don't have the danger each day, but you also don't have the danger of your career just disappearing any day.
Well, you say that, but sitting down is the least healthy thing you can do.
It totally is.
And I feel sorry. I feel sorry for my wife. I feel sorry for people whose jobs are sedentary. It's a very unnatural thing to do, but that's the modern world.
Yeah, and with racing drive, fitness is a huge part of it at the moment. Fitness,
yeah, you've got to be fit. Nutrition is important. Flexibility, joints, all that, everything. The fitter you are, the better you'll be.
And when they put you in an F1 powerboat, or you've been in a lot of F1 cars. You've never raced one. Yeah. You've been in 6 cars, but you know, what is there must be an exponential leap from even the supercar to the F1 on the person.
Yeah, the latest supercars. Yeah, they can. It's G-forces we're talking about now, and G-force isn't a constant push on you. It's lots of pushes in very few seconds, coming at you from all directions. And I mean all directions, not just forwards, backwards, left, right, everywhere. It's just, if you couldn't make a machine to shake somebody's body about as much as you do in a racing car. Well, you can just look at an in-car video of somebody bouncing around inside a car. They're not just bouncing around, they're G-forces sideways, going up, down, left, right. And it's really impossible to describe what it's like inside a grippy racing car, which is one of the reasons I suggested to the MSA or MSUK governing body that you had passengers in some races, because that's the only and passengers they'd know what it was like. It could be a gift, it could be a corporate punishment, it could be somebody, it could raise money for the team because they could pay. I think it was a great idea. And actually the head of the Monster Raving Loony Party liked it, and offered me Minister of Transport of the Monster Raving Loony. I turned it down. Anyway, you cannot replicate G-forces. It's the simulators. Simulators are very clever things, but they're no G-forces. And Lewis Hamilton said, because all the racing drivers, they all muck around on these simulators, but Lewis Hamilton said they don't help him at all because he's balancing G-force against stereo input into the controls. Well, without the G-force, you can't do that. So I'm not big on simulators. They have tiny. They can help a little bit, but only a little bit.
Yeah, there's not the reality. The reality's not
No.
Reality's not there, and
you can get a rhythm and you can learn a little bit about where the circuit goes, but you soon pick that up when you're there.
I remember reading a story about Craig Breedlove, who was one of those typical men in sheds, engineers for the World Land Speed Record, built himself a chair he could basically sit in that swung him round and round to prepare him for setting the World Land Speed Record. Does that ever appeal to you?
No. I like historic cars because I like cars that move around. And the G-forces in a historic car are low, they're about 1.5 G. And I quite like that. At Paul Ricard, there's a long straight. A 2-litre sports prototype that's 160 miles an hour. It won't go any more. It's like a boat. You put a big engine in, it won't go any faster. Air resistant. 160 miles an hour, and at the end, a 90-degree corner. And before I got to Paul Ricard, I researched that this kind of car could go around that corner without braking. So I got to the 50-metre board, and it's still flat out, and then lifted for 0.4 of a second. I didn't know it was 0.4 of a second, but the data showed it, and then straight back on again. You lift to get the nose down, so the steering works, and round you're going back. Well, it has a massive runoff area, so which gave me the courage to do that. Well, downforce only works if the car's going forwards, close to the ground, not sideways, nothing brakes, no other cars. And that was, I don't know, 2 or 3G, I guess, I don't know. But these guys are doing 6G, which is really hard on the body, and you've got to be super fit. I couldn't do that.
Yeah, so it's a bit like the fast jet pilots taking off from aircraft carriers, isn't it? It is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's a straight line. Lateral G is much worse.
Yeah.
Lateral G is hard.
That must have been back like when you were on the powerboat, because it's going every which way, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've been quite crazy. How does that affect your head? Presumably, your ears balance is a lot to do with it as well.
Well, it's going. There's no lateral G in a powerboat. Very little, because when they turn, they'll turn like a motorbike. So the G is always going down through your spine. So it's not like a racing car. No, it's just it's brutal and bouncy and hard. But a racing car is more complex, the way the G comes at you.
I did like reading the sections where you're explaining how cars go around bends, what happens to it. It's one of those things, I think, bringing to a book about racing cars, not just the glamour and the speed, but also the engineering that underpins it. And if anybody buys a copy of this book, which I would heartily suggest you do, you will learn an awful lot about how a car moves around the circuit. I think it'd be a great intro for any youngster looking to how to drive a car.
Yeah, complex things, infinite number of adjustments. And
because you mentioned the fact, you start with a light car and then think, right, I need to go faster. So all you're going to do is stick a very big engine in the back. And of course, that doesn't just make it go faster, because there's a downside to it as well. Just explain to those 3 little things that cause, you've got to think of in that.
Yeah, there are 2 sports racing cars. A sports car is a thing you have on the road, with the roof down and all that, sports car or GT. A sports racing car is a racing car that has, with the wheels covered. So it's like a single-seater, but it's got bodywork over the wheels. Sports racing car. There are a couple I've driven where they were designed to have a lightweight engine, and then somebody has put a huge, great, powerful engine in. And they're not really any faster, because it upsets the whole design. It's upset by the weight of this thing in the back, rear engine things. And your lap time is governed by the speed you can carry through the corners, not having to brake to slow the car down too much at the corners. You can get a Lotus Elan, which is a little 1600cc sports car, and that'll be as fast as an AC Cobra, which is a 5 litre, 4, depends which one, 4 litre, they go up to 7 litre monster, and they have a similar lap time because the lightweight car can carry the speed through the corner.
And it's understanding those physics that makes the difference as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
You putting it down. Tell us a little bit about some of the testing you were doing with Auto Italia and the photography, because it's always fascinated me. I watch these guys. You can see the shots in their magazine or in your book, and you think, how did he get that? Then you realise.
Photography, yeah, I always joke with the chaps at Auto Italia. I say, wouldn't it be good if you opened a magazine and the words and the pictures matched? So the words are talking about that picture, because once or twice they don't, so I pick them up on that. And then I don't like all the chocolate box pictures, you know, where the car's stationary and doing nothing. I say, we need some action, we need cars going sideways and all the rest of it. So we'd be on a shoot somewhere, and I would make sure I get a car completely out of shape for them to photograph, to put in the story, because I think that action needs to be in a magazine, not just stationary cars. So we'd have this constant banter and stuff.
But it's the way you do it as well, isn't it? You got somebody hanging out of a chase car, or they're lying down on the ground at a corner, hoping you really do get it right.
Yeah.
You need a lot of confidence to be a photographer.
Yeah, well, the photographer, quite often their car's coming towards them in a corner. They want to action shot the car cornering towards them, and they're lying down on the ground, and you've got to miss them. And we had one car, the Ferrari, wheel broke away, and Phil Ward was lying on the ground in front of it when I was tearing around this corner, but I missed it. And we had another one. It was a caterer. I was testing another magazine, a caterer. I had a photographer, a good photographer, Andrew Brown. He and I used to sort of push each other to do madder things all the time.
Yeah.
So I said, wouldn't it be a good idea to get a shot of the caterer going down the straight at the Chobham test track, big fast test track, lined with trees, with the speedo reading a lot, the road coming at you, and me holding the steering wheel here like that. He's standing on the back of the caterer.
There's not a lot of space there.
No, so he's untethered on the back of this caterer, and we're going quite fast. I took the steering wheel off, and I'm holding the steering wheel, and he got the shot, and then I couldn't put the steering wheel back. And we're heading gradually going towards trees. I can't, any G-force and he's gone.
Yeah.
So I had to bring the car back into control with 0 G, so he didn't fall off. And the steering wheel wouldn't go on, and then I thought, well, I'll try and put it on crooked. All the time we're getting closer to trees and things. I couldn't brake. And I turned the steering wheel crooked, clunk, and it went on. But then I couldn't do that because he'd go off as I had to do it. So anyway, we got the shot, and shouldn't have done it, dangerous, all that stuff. But that's,
Yeah. There was another occasion in the book, I think you introduced him to somebody who had a number of cars and a scrambling bike. And it would be fair to say that Mike Ward is a man who's enjoyed the odd PR lunch over his life. He's on the handlebars.
Oh, that's Max Wakefield, yeah, complete lunatic. He's got a castle in the north of England, and his family goes back to 1066, and his ex-tank commander and all that stuff, completely bonkers. He's a lovely chap. And he had this powerful scramble bike and on his estate, and there were woods. And he said to Michael, get on the handlebars. He sat Michael Ward on the handlebars of this scrambler bike, and then went up onto the back wheel, tearing through the woods on the back wheel with Michael Ward on. Complete madness, you know. And he asked me if I'd like to. Oh, no, thank you. No, thank you. No. No, because it could all go horribly wrong, couldn't it?
Yes.
And the world's changed a lot, you know, with you can't even talking about that sort of stuff will upset some people.
It is strange, isn't it? All those madcap things at racing. I mean, they were characters back in the day. They always used to do this. They were partying. There was women. There was booze. You know, it was all going on. It's become much more. It's all seemed quite corporate these days.
Well, what's changed, and you have to, and you can't be negative. You know, if an old chap starts saying good old days, it's not like it used to be, you just put everybody off. You just can't do that. You have to move with the time. You can't change the world. You just have to accept what it is.
I mean, we have people who come here. Oh, it must be. It would have been absolutely lovely in the 1930s. Yes, but imagine dentistry without any painkillers. You know, we forget all the downsides, don't we?
Well, apart from dentistry, I'm struggling.
We have one of my friends who said about the vintage, you know, with the 1940s. He said, yes, but we didn't have any chocolate then.
Oh, well,
but the world does move on, doesn't it? And we're looking at the rise of, coming back to this, the corporate nature with a lot of track action these days. The Maseratis, because you were involved in that with Jody Kidd. You get a lot of these brand ambassadors now for watches, cars, whatever, and a showcase event to show it off to the public.
Yeah, influencers, they give them cars. David Beckham's got a Maserati now. Jody Kidd, in my day, I gave her some driver training at Goodwood as well. She used to race in the Maserati series, and she's quite good. And
and with the driver training, there's one gentleman you know who's Irish, who moves to Italy to run a race driving school. You do wonder, you know, how you're going to get on.
I thought it was a weird thing to do.
It's very counterintuitive, isn't it? You'll either succeed or fall flat on your face. When people come to learn, do they bring an ego with them, or do they genuinely want to learn? Do they view
all sorts? There's some that go there to show the instructors how to drive, and that's all the instructors. I worked at Thruxton for a while, and you get all the instructors. We're all friends. We all get on well. And we dread getting one of those in the car that knows everything, and some of them. And if you, as an instructor at a race school, if your car crashes and you're in the passenger seat, then you've lost your job. And it happened, not to me, but it's right. Anyway, Henry Maroc, Irishman, runs a race school. I don't know if he's still alive now, in Italy. I think it's moved from one circuit to other circuits in Italy. And he said to me, I said, what's the difference between a race circuit here and one in Ireland? He said, here they drive, lots of them come here to show the instructors how to drive. Well, interestingly, I did a round Britain thing with Honda. We started at Knockhill, and we were showing dealers and guests these new Honda cars, going round circuits faster. And then we gradually worked our way through different circuits down to Brands Hatch. The closer you got to London, the worse the drivers got. And the worst drivers of all were at Brands Hatch, because they sit in traffic jams in London. And they're not, whereas the Scottish guys, on Scottish roads in the middle of nowhere, they're ducking and diving and taking a line and straight lining corners, and they know they could drive so much better, and we all know picked up on that.
Yeah, I did. Jackie Stewart, Colin McRae, they both started their career, really, didn't they? Practicing on roads like that. You actually met him at one point. You met Jackie Stewart.
Jackie Stewart, yeah, I met him a couple of times. Yeah, nice chap. I know what my wife's Scottish, so I know how they think. And,
he was said to be a gift to his sponsors. His transporter would come in and they jack it up and they turn the wheels around so you could read the make of the tyre. I mean, he was pretty much a consummate professional.
He was, yeah.
And probably an instigator for driver safety.
Yeah, he was very much so, and he was one of those drivers who was fast and who could never crash. A bit like Jim Clark, except Jim Clark, but then look what happened to Jim Clark. If it can happen to Jim Clark, it can happen to anybody. But Jackie Stewart, he was really good in his period. He's quick and safe and quite a gentleman.
The thing with F1 champions, when they come to grief, it never seems to be natural causes, does it?
No.
I know James Hunt, heart attack, but you struggle to think of others who...
I wrote a list of drivers who perished not in racing cars, because everything they do when they're not in a racing car is dangerous. You know, they're in light aircraft or power boats or skiing or something. It's motorcycling, whatever. I was a bit like that myself, and aeroplanes, aerobatics, horse riding, and I thought, well, if I'm not in bed asleep, I'm doing something dangerous, so I cut half of those out.
Maybe it was actually, the constant danger that kept you on the edge, in the sense that you kept your edge and kept safe. If it's something you only do rarely, maybe sometimes that's when you make mistakes, because you're not used to it.
Well, I did it by just stepping back and looking at my life. And I thought there's too many mad things going on. I was just really calm down.
But it's a wonderful romp through the life, which is, you're a man in the late spring of your, your youth.
After I've written a book and it went off to publishing, I thought, I should have written this, I should have written that, and I should have... too late now.
But maybe there's a second book in there somewhere. There's certainly another book coming, which we're going to explore in the next part with your family and the history of that, which reads like a diary of the crazy sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a mad story.
That's a mad story. We're going to tell him. We're going to tell him part 2. But for the moment, I'd like to thank Roberto for today.
Thank you, Keith.
If you haven't actually got a copy of Confessions of a Test Drive, you really ought to.
It makes a great present.
It does.
Even if you're buying it for somebody else.
And you can read this if you're interested in test driving, motor racing, or journalism. And if you're just interested in some very funny stories as well, and some outrageous stories, then also it's a very, very good buy. So I would suggest anybody goes and gets one.
And it's not too technical.
It's not too technical at all. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Keith. Yes, thank you. It's been wonderful. And it's great to be here at Brookings. What a fantastic place.
Thank you very much.